All right, so welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn. Just want to do a sound check to make sure that everyone can hear me well.
Sound good, Katrisa.
All
I
right,
see I see other folks nodding, but if
great.
anyone's having trouble, you could type in the chat or let us know.
All right, thank you, Dave. All right, so again, hello everyone. Today's Lunch and Learn is about identifying and combating medical misinformation. My name is Katrisa Gardner. I'm the Public Services Librarian located in Moultrie at our South Georgia campus. Again, just want to let you know that this Lunch and Learn is being recorded, and all of our Lunch and Learns can be found on the PCOM Library's YouTube channel. All right. So just to let you know, October is identified with the National Medical Library. It's the National Librarian Medical Librarians Month, and our theme is Avoid Health Misinformation. Partner with your medical librarian. And today's Lunch and Learn, our objectives for this session. We want to look at the definition of medical misinformation. It's a really hot topic right now with all the misinformation that is being spread. So we want to debunk those medical misinformation myths. We're going to look at four key problems within the medical misinformation that has been identified. And also, I want to show you how to evaluate web information sources using the CRAAP method. And then lastly, we'll take a look at the impact of the medical misinformation and social media. All right, so first we want to look at the definition of what is medical misinformation. Okay, it is health information, has been identified as information that is false, inaccurate, or misleading according to the best available evidence that is found at the time of the information has been presented. And looking at the recent literature, it suggests that most people really don't intentionally spread misinformation. They just don't have the resources to counter the information that they receive. And there's also been found that there's a mistrust of scientists, health and medical professionals, and many other authority figures has flourished during this time due to misinformation and as well as disinformation. And according to some of the recent research found in the literature that I have researched, there's fear, anxiety, confrontational behavior. All these have impacted the delivery of healthcare around the world. So let's look at this example of it's a common example between patient doctor dialogue. So the scenario goes where the doctor says, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, based on your risk factors for having a heart attack, I recommend that we start you on a statin." And the patient goes, "No, thank you, doctor. I've read too many scary things about those drugs on the internet. Plus, I worry that some in your profession make these recommendations for reasons of personal financial gain. I also found that online." This is a very common scenario where patients and medical consumers frequently go to the internet to look for information based on diagnoses or condition and have already made their determination based on inaccurate information and misinformation um, to determine the treatment for their care. Okay, so there are four problems according to the article on how to survive the medical misinformation mess. These are four problems that contribute to medical misinformation. The first problem identifies that much of the published medical research is not reliable or it is of uncertain reliability. It offers no benefit to patients or it is not useful to decision makers. The second problem that was identified in the literature is that most healthcare professionals and consumers are not aware of this problem. And third, even if they are aware of the problem, most healthcare professionals and consumers lack the skills necessary to evaluate the reliability and usefulness of medical evidence. And then the fourth problem that was identified is that patients and families frequently lack relevant, accurate, and medical evidence and skilled guidance at the time of medical decision making. And as a PCM community, you have access to a plethora of our wonderful resources that are reliable, evidence based. But for the average medical consumer that's not affiliated with PCOM, there's ways that you can go online and evaluate the information that you do receive. And this is using the CRAAP method. and that is the currency of the information, the relevance of the information, authority, accuracy, and the purpose of the information. So let's look at this method here and see how can you determine the information that you find online if it's reliable. Okay, so when we talk about currency, this is referring to the timeliness of the information. So when you're looking at information, medical information, you want to ask yourself, when was the information published or posted? Has the information been revised or updated? Is the information current or maybe it could be out of date? And then you want to pay attention to the links within the web source that you're looking at to see if they're functional. The next step in evaluating web information is to ask yourself, let's look at the relevance of this information. Relevance here refers to the importance of the information for your particular healthcare needs. Okay, does the information relate to your topic or answer your question? You also want to look at who is the intended audience of this information. Next is the information at an appropriate level. Maybe is it too basic or too advanced for you to understand what's going on in the information that you're looking at? Next, you want to ask yourself, have you looked at a variety of sources before determining this is the best one to use? And then last, when it comes to relevance, would you be comfortable using this source for a research paper? Okay, the next step in evaluating information using the CRAAP method is looking at the authority. And this is to say, hey, look, who is the author? Look at the source, the publisher of this information. You want to check to look and make sure that you can see if there are credentials for the author that's presenting the information in the articles that you're looking at. And also, is the author qualified to write on the particular topic? Also, is there any contact information, address, or email contained within the information? And next, this is very important. When you're looking at sources online, look at the URL domain. It reveals a lot about the information and the source of the information that you're looking at. For example, if you're looking at a website with a .com domain, it's particularly that's commercial. So the purpose is usually to sell something, promote a company, product, or service. Whereas a .gov web domain, it's usually the intent is to inform, to post public documents, and to present research findings or statistics. .edu, that's an educational domain. The purpose is to typically teach, inform, or present research. And also .org, that's organization. And the purpose may be to inform or present research, but it is frequently used to sway opinion or recruit support as well. So you definitely want to evaluate the URL domains of the information that you're looking at. And then the other one that's not here is a .net. That's a network URL domain. And the purpose is normally to provide services to organizations, both usually private and commercial, and as well as to individuals. Okay, so the next step in the CRAAP method, you want to look at the accuracy of the information. So ask yourself, where does this information come from? Okay, accuracy refers to the reliability, truthfulness, and the correctness of the content in which you're looking at this information. So, is the information supported by evidence? Is there evidence-based information? Has it been reviewed? Has it gone through a peer review process? Can you verify if any of the information another source by your own knowledge? And also, does the language or tone seem biased? And you want to look and see if there are any spelling, grammatical, or typo errors within the information that you're looking at. So that is accuracy. Next, you want to evaluate the purpose of the information that you're looking at. And the purpose refers to the reason the information exists. So, what is the purpose of this information that you're looking at? Is it to inform? Okay. Is it to teach and maybe try to sell or persuade? And then again, tells you here to look at the domain, the URL domain, which is very, very important. Next, does the author make his or her intentions or purpose clear? And then also, is the information fact, opinion, or propaganda? You also want to ask yourself, does the point of view appear objective and impartial? And then also, are there any political, ideological, cultural, religious, or institutional personal biases within the information that you're looking at. So that is pretty much an overview of the CRAAP method that is used to evaluate particularly web sources of information that's not coming from a scholarly source like a peer-reviewed journal or any of the resources that we have here at PCOM. But this is where the common consumer will go online, look for information, and using this CRAAP method, this can kind of help guide your process in establishing whether or not the information that you're looking at it could possibly be misinformation. And then here's a couple of quotes from social media. And as we know, during this pandemic, social media has really in the area of medical misinformation on health topics has really been used greatly to um, promote medical misinformation. And in the literature, here are two quotes here. As the use of mass and social media have been growing exponentially in recent times, scientists have called for an urgent action to prevent public dissemination of unsubstantiated health related and even purely medical information. And the proliferation of medical misinformation on social media is a growing global public health concern. And these quotes were derived from the article that's in the reference at the end of the presentation, um, from the biggest pandemic risk, viral information. And look at this example that I pulled. I definitely want to pull in this example. This is an example of how information on social media is misinformation, actually. So, this post shows that someone in New York, just a regular person, thought it would be funny. They used the old news logo from this particular news source, the WFMY, as a way to spread false information regarding coronavirus. And within this post, the post claims that there's a mandatory paid leave from work. Schools will be closed for 2 weeks, and this has been happening quite frequently. So what the author of this post, he actually just um, got a picture, a random picture, uploaded the picture, and whatever he wanted to post in this particular post and spread misinformation, and that's what happened. So this is, as a person that made, a lot of people get their information here. Oh, look, there's a news source. I recognize that news, but not knowing that's just an image that has been uploaded to social media, and this is a fake, false message. Okay, and actually, this particular link, when you click on the link to this post, it takes you to a link of a picture of a gorilla. So we definitely have to be careful when we're looking at things on social media. And one way you can do that is just to verify that the source that you're looking at is a verified source. So actually, for the WFMY News too, if you can see the blue check mark, that's a good indication that you're dealing with the real deal. So it's a verified news account by seeing the blue check mark here on the post. Here's another example from Facebook where, everyone's posting information about COVID-19 and what Facebook has actually taken measures to tighten their rules to combat the issue, not only by removing false information, banning ads, they've also added a link under most all the posts that are tagged with some type of COVID tag, and they're using a third-party fact checker. So you'll see here at the bottom it says visit the COVID-19 Information Center for vaccine resources, and I'm sure you've seen that. Information on the post within. Instagram has something similar. Twitter has their own um, precautions when information is published related to COVID-19 as well. All right, so some tips here that I've just concluded here to combat medical misinformation on social media. You definitely want to develop a culture of fact checking information. Fact checking is very critical. um, the evidence and the research that I've looked at suggests that people with lower health literacy, they're more likely to trust sources of information on social media and blogs. So, a key strategy to combat this medical misinformation that could possibly be spreading is fact checking your information from several sources that are considered reliable. Educate yourself by using the proper sources, and using the CRAAP method is definitely a good way to help um, you get to the accurate information that you may be looking for. And also, verify information with your healthcare professional, your medical doctor, um, and have those discussions to make sure that the information that you are receiving online is actually legitimate. And as always, you have access to the PCOM librarians across 3 campuses. If you're doing any type of research for yourself and you want to make sure that the articles that you may be requesting or needing for any type of research that you're doing personally are coming from a good source, or if you need some assistance with your research, we do offer research consultations where we can do literature searches to help you find the information that you may be looking for to assist you with writing your papers or for your own research needs. And here are my references at the end of the presentation. Um, If you're interested in receiving any of these references from the journals that I have found the information from, please feel free to reach out to me and I can send you this information as well. So I'm now going to stop sharing my screen. All right. So that pretty much concludes my session here on medical misinformation. I just wanted to open up the floor to anyone that wanted to, maybe you had any comments that you want to make or any discussion based around this topic. You're welcome to do so at this time.
Hi. Hi. Thank you
Hi.
for the presentation. This is Dr. Balin. Um, I thought it's very informative. One of the comments I wanted to make was that this method, the CRAAP method, seems very proficient at getting across the information you need to know to how to verify you have accurate information. Is this something that is sent out to the general news media so that they can inform the public, the person out there, the layperson that doesn't really know how to go about verifying the information? I mean, many of us, because we're working in science and in a medical school environment, we uh, sort of know how to go about doing it, even though what you've presented is even helpful for me. So that's one of the questions. The other is the healthcare, verifying with healthcare professionals. I'm a researcher and I do cutting edge research with infection and Alzheimer's disease. I'm just using that as an example. If you talk to healthcare professionals, probably the vast majority of them have never heard of the research I'm doing. They would not be useful or helpful in verifying that if somebody inquired whether or not this type of research is valid. That's a big issue that we're running into as cutting edge research is being
Hmm.
brought onto the scene through social media, through scientific reports, etc.
Oh, wow. Those are excellent points, Dr. Balin. And what I would answer your first question is that no, this information is not sent to news mediums for them to give this information to the general public. And that's why it's important for, people within the profession, medical librarians, to create forums, public forums, and different mediums for this discussion to take place to give this information to lay people that really need it, health fairs and different things like that to really get the message out there to help people to learn how to evaluate information.
Yes, I think it's quite valuable, and the more people that know about it, that know there's a method of going about verifying this type of information so that they're not guessing or they're not using friends or the social media platforms where it's not validated to really, basically they're brainwashing themselves by
Hmm.
what, sort of like if someone else says, yes, you're right, we shouldn't be doing something, we shouldn't be taking a COVID vaccine because of what I've heard. They're sort of just validating within their own community without any real basis for that validation.
That's so true. Yes, that is so true. That is exactly what's happening. Um, and then for platforms like this, we have this information that's available on the YouTube channels, but it's just getting people to get to the information so that they can learn and become health literate on these topics such as medical misinformation. That's a
Yes.
challenge as well.
Ms. Gardner, you mentioned in your presentation that most of the medical misinformation comes from social media and blogs. And I think it's kind of funny how those things have people and faces behind them directly telling the recipient, what to think or believe. Um, and and whereas like the YouTube channel, like it's still a source that that recipient still has to navigate
Hmm.
versus kind of putting it directly in front of the recipient's face. So I think it just brings to light the importance of educators and healthcare professionals to be that face and address the misinformation, the misconceptions head on.
Yeah, I agree with you completely because, yeah, we all have social media channels. We all have followers and friends and family. And I know, it's great when we find things that are accurate to share that.
Mhm.
We can all, like you said, the educators, we are at work, we're here, but we can still, share things that are helpful to help stop the spread of medical misinformation
Mhm.
in our own way.
And I'm so
So,
glad you gave this presentation because I'm a fourth year in the DO program, and um, I actually am in interviews already, and that's been a theme.
hmm,
It's
great.
given a light with the pandemic and other things. And how, like, what would you do if this patient said like, no, I don't want to receive the COVID vaccine because of whatever? Like, what would you do?
Yeah,
Thank you for doing
right.
this.
You're welcome. So, yeah, when you get your vaccine, you get the form that tells you everything you need to know about what could possibly happen and everything like that. But it's just like, okay, you
Beforehand,
have to think about the health literacy component. Well, will they read it? Will they read that? Will they understand based on, the reading level? Can they understand this information?
right, right,
So
especially
it's a
with
lot of factors.
the medical literacy in the country is at a fourth grade equivalent level, and then considering that in Philadelphia, it's about a third of the population is illiterate. So just like a lot of barriers.
There are, but it's a work in progress. We can
Yes.
continue to educate the community and promote health literacy.
Mhm. One step at a time.
Yes. All right. I think there was something in the chat. Let's see. Uh, Jesse, I will definitely send you the link. If you would like the presentation, I can definitely send you the link to the presentation so you can have the PowerPoint and the um, resources at the end of the presentation. Dave, do you have access to the Red Cap survey that we can post in the chat?
I'm sorry, Teresa, not off the top of my head.
I think,
I'll see if I can track it down real quick.
or Jackie, because there's the survey that we would like for you to take at the end here, since we are approaching the end of the lunch. Unless anyone else has any comments to share. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today.
Thank you for having it.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I may have it right here. All right, so there's a link there to the survey. If you would please fill out the survey for me. That helps us know how we're doing with our lunch and learns and what we can do better to serve you. But again, thank you everyone for attending. Hope you continue to be well and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.